For approximately 250,000 years, anatomically modern humans existed in a state of stasis, moving across the landscape in small nomadic bands of hunter-gatherers. For 250,000 years, human population flatlined. Even by 10,000 BC, our global footprint was negligible, totaling just 2 million people. But by AD 500, that number reached 209 million. In roughly 10,000 years, the population multiplied by 100. This demographic explosion resulted in a world dominated by high-density superstates, including the Roman, Han, and Sasanian empires. 3 specific innovations drove this rapid scaling: the invention of agriculture, the development of writing, and the mastery of metallurgy. The first driver was the independent emergence of farming. Across the Fertile Crescent, China, Mesoamerica, and the Andes, populations began the domesticating local cereal crops and livestock. This transition created a massive caloric surplus. By generating more food than they consumed in a day, these groups could abandon a nomadic existence to build permanent, high-density settlements. The ruins of Mesopotamia demonstrate the structural scale this density allowed. These ziggurats required massive, stationary labor forces to mold millions of geometric bricks. This shift toward urban density occurred across the globe without outside influence. In central Mexico, the city of Teotihuacan grew into a rigid grid of stone temples and plazas, eventually housing an estimated 200,000 residents. While surplus calories allowed humans to settle in one place, managing tens of thousands of people in a single city created a crisis of social organization. Writing emerged as the primary administrative tool to solve this crisis, serving as the definitive boundary between prehistory and the era of ancient records. This administrative solution was independently reached by 5 completely isolated civilizations, including those in Mesopotamia, Egypt, India, China, and Mesoamerica. The earliest examples of cuneiform function as accounting ledgers. These clay tablets used a grit-like system of indentations to track grain yields, livestock inventories, and worker rations. This data tracking capability allowed states to implement complex taxation and standardized laws. The Stele of Hammurabi displays hundreds of legal codes inscribed in stone, creating a permanent set of rules for the entire Babylonian population. These written records provided a mechanism for social control that outlived the monarchs who commissioned them. The final driver was the sequential mastery of metals, transitioning from copper to bronze and eventually to the mass production of iron. Metal tools multiplied the output of the ancient world. Iron plows increased the efficiency of agriculture, while iron weapons created lopsided military advantages. Military conquest accelerated as metallurgy merged with engineering. The development of the light, spoked wheel allowed Hittite and Assyrian chariots to achieve a level of speed and maneuverability that previously did not exist. Further advancements in the wheel and the sail integrated previously isolated regions, forcing empires to interact through both trade and conflict. These networks reached a massive scale. Long before European navigation, Austronesian sailors used advanced maritime technology to spread outward from Taiwan, populating islands across the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Overland routes functioned in the same way. Caravans on the Silk Road transported iron and silk alongside complex philosophies of the East, allowing religions like Buddhism to spread across thousands of miles. The combination of Iron Age industry and long-distance transport integrated fragmented kingdoms into the first version of a global economy. By the first millennium AD, the era reached its peak. A network of massive, interconnected empires dominated Eurasia, Africa, and the Americas. However, the immense administrative and military overhead required to sustain these territories created a state of structural fragility. Between AD 400 and 500, the major powers of the ancient world broke apart. Rome collapsed following Germanic migrations, Han China fractured into rival kingdoms, and the Gupta Empire disintegrated. The ruins of the Roman Forum highlight the physical result of this disintegration, as centralized administrative hubs were replaced by localized regional powers. This fragmentation across the globe marked the transition of ancient history into the Middle Ages. While the physical empires of antiquity dissolved, the organizational blueprints they established remained in use. The thousands of individualized figures in the terracotta army demonstrate the extreme level of standardization and mass organization that ancient states achieved. These civilizations established the methods for feeding millions of people, managing populations through written code, and maintaining trade across continents. The 3,500 years of ancient history provided the foundational principles for modern society. We study these civilizations to recognize the underlying structures that continue to govern human organization